This is Eldenway, a replica of my New Leaf town, but now in the HD wonder of New Horizons. So far, I've finished replicating the entire landscape as closely as possible to the original, and this video will show how I went about that. In the future, I'll be tackling the recreation of Main Street and the Welcome Amiibo campgrounds, so go ahead and subscribe if you want to stick around for that. If you want to see a speed build of my actual town, there it is right there. 150 days in 30 minutes. And if you would like to see the town that this town is based off of, there's that tour right up there. Maybe watch it and come on back to see what I'm going for. Now, let's get started. I did a speedrun totaling 3.5 hours to get to the point of terraforming, which was necessary before beginning since New Leaf towns are automatically on a second level. So with terraforming achieved, I began clearing my island, and this of course started with weeds. Lots and lots and lots of weeds, along with the patterns I threw down to count as furniture. With all the weeds clear, it was time to get a chopping, and there was a lot of chopping because there was a lot of trees. Just chopping away every tree in town. Don't need those anymore, no siree. And with that, everything was clear! With weeds and trees clear, my last obstacle was the rivers. So of course, I had to fill in all of those. And there were a lot. You definitely start with a lot more water in New Horizons than you do in New Leaf. And even more. Just so much water. But it goes pretty fast. And there's how the map looks before I take everything out. Alright, here we are at the very last spot going up to the bridge I built, because I had to build one for a 3-star town. And with that done, I can move on to building those cliffs. Except that sometimes you discover that you forgot a pond, and you gotta fill that one in too. Lots and lots of water. Okay, now the cliffs can officially start being built. And I had not figured things out yet. I was doing one by one, and that's when I realized that doing this 3 and then move a spot, do 3, then move a spot, was definitely the fastest way to do this. Which I needed a fast way since I was going to be filling the entire island with cliff. Oh, and here is me stealing Biff's kill. Poor guy. And here is the map as I'm building all these cliffs out, just slowly coming in towards the town hall. And there it is, a bunch of clear second cliff. And there's Ketchup, because she's cute. And here it is, finally finishing it off. Mostly, there's still pockets here and there, but like, for the most part, I was finally done filling in the cliffs. And here we are filling out the second cliff, which wasn't nearly as bad, since it only takes up like a third, fourth of the map. And now ramps. If we're gonna be on the second hill, we need ramps. And with the ramp in, I was able to place my house relative to it. And I decided my house would be the center point of the town that I would build everything off of, counting each square from the house in both games. So I had to make sure to get it right, which I didn't do, but I'll explain that later. And this process right here is me counting each of those squares and laying out the plots for each house. And one problem we have here is that the houses in New Leaf are 3x3s, but here they're 3x4s, so that messes up everything a little bit. Regardless, I moved people in the best that I could to about where I need their houses to be. But the rest would have to be replaced after I had everyone moved into their spots. I finally demolished that last unneeded bridge in town, and I was able to fill in that area. And for the most part, that's kind of the last of what I need to fill in. There's always more, but like, one of the last major things. And here is Broccolo getting in the way, as villagers are wont to do. And finally he moved, and I filled it in the rest of the way. And there is what the town is looking like, just getting things filled in more and more. With houses in place, I was finally ready to get the river in, and this is going to be a huge part of what really brings the town into what it is. River was actually pretty difficult to do, to get the right shape. I even totally messed up in one area and brought it forward like 6 too many squares, so I had to push it to the right later on. And here is the second incline, and I put it once again where it was in the New Leaf game, leading to the beach. And I put in my first bridge, and continued with the river. And the shape is pretty dang close to what it is in New Leaf. There's some areas where I messed up. And right here, what I'm leading up to is where the pond was. But because Town Hall is not in the right place, because I had not a ton of control where it could be, I tried to put it the best it was, but it's probably 15 tiles too low. So I decided to have the pond leak into this waterfall into Town Hall, which was nice. And I think, you know, Town Hall not being in the right spot didn't put that much of a wrench in everything. It ended up being an okay wrong spot. It's totally like messing with everything. Another bridge goes in. And here I'm kind of making up the river because it should drop off right there, but that is not where the waterfall is. All right, flowers are going in. Pansies are the first one I started with, and I also had my apple trees get put in. I had fruit going along every path. And now is the time to move the official services in, and I'm moving all these into the shopping area, which is where they were, Main Street. And you can see it right there, there they are, and then moved up to Main Street, and River basically finished. And if you're wondering where I got all the money to do this, I cheated. I time traveled to get a good price in this town, and then I went to my other town and bought a bunch of turnips and went back and forth because I am not taking the time to get money legitimately here. It's already taken quite a bit of time. And of course, because I can't move Town Hall up, I gotta build ramps to go down to it. And that is what's going on right here. And as mentioned, it really is in the perfect spot. It plunked down right on a part of the path where it becomes the pathway through, and it didn't get in the way of any houses or any structures or anything like that. So, and there is an updated map with everything in. And I'm finally closing this up a little more. Not all the way, but a little more. And there it is with it closed. Just a little more on that upper part. And finally, I was ready to move everyone in. So we got Cookie, Pansetti, Tia, Zucker, Frida, Coco, and Midge, along with Stinky. And luckily, a couple years ago, I decided to collect all the cards, so I was well prepared for this situation. And with them all moved in, I moved in my 3 other humans. Or in this case, I only show 2 because I forgot to record the other. Okay, and now time for paths! Gratefully, I was able to just scan it in from my actual New Leaf game, so this is the path I actually used. And I continued just counting those squares and putting them down. There's some spots where it's off, like there's an extra space over by my house. And I officially put in my last bridge. Kinda necessary for putting the path in to see where everything lies. And I started on the path over there. This is one spot where things did get messed up because I didn't have as much lead up with the ramp taking up some of the lead up, so things had to change around a bit there. Here is the cafe's path going in, and this last little diagonal path connecting the 2 bridges. It's all good stuff. And this is the path up to the train station and what will be Main Street. And with all my paths basically in, I was able to start lining them with the fruit trees, in this case cherries. And for this one it was lemon, but I replaced it with peaches. At this point I could pretty easily see where my town ended, so I finally put in the eastern cliff. And right here I'm doing the pathing leading up to the old town hall. I don't know what I'm gonna do to replace it. Still haven't figured that out since town hall is still in the game, but just south. And flowers were finally ready to go in. These were the flowers around my house. I have mums replacing carnations. And having the flowers in just really made my town feel more like my town. And I'm not going to show every type of flower going, just so you get an idea. Here's some of them. Like I did roses along the rivers. Most of the town is tulips, but there's there's roses along the rivers, roses at the entrance, pansies like right there, and cosmos on the path leading to the campsite. Oh, and lilies in the campsite. But to get all these flowers, I had this major breeding operation going on over here. And I time traveled a lot to get rain. Alright, and we got some pear trees going in over by where like the park cafe is. And the fence. There was a fence that ran between the railroad and the rest of your town. So I am putting that fence in and getting started on the mass amount of cosmos over by where town hall was, along with oranges that ran along the western and northern edges of town. And here was my golden rose breeding ground with a lot of watering. I needed a lot of gold roses for the park. This is the Zen area, which of course requires bamboo, so that is going in right there. And those windflowers are replacing violets. Here are the paths leading to the villagers' houses. I don't know why I did these, but I did back then, so they're going in now. And right here, I'm putting in the flowers that went around Town Hall. Just like one of every type, every color that wasn't hybrid. Here's the waterfall leading into town. I wish I could put a waterfall on that fourth cliff, but whatever. Then I got to chopping down trees to make the different stumps in my town. Around the original town hall, I had a fruit of every kind, so I'm putting those in now. And an incline, a second incline, up to the shopping mall. Up next is the bushes. I put bushes in between every tree along those paths, even if you couldn't see the bushes behind the trees. They're actually pretty annoying because they blocked you in, but I was excited for bushes back then, apparently. Oh, and here's a complete fail at trying to get this present. So mad. And customizing things, getting the right colors for everything. These are the chairs that will go with the picnic set over in the park. And none of these items are exact replicas of what used to be, but they're pretty darn close, so I'm going with it. They definitely send the message, and you can see what I was trying to do and what I was trying to replicate here. That was supposed to be a windmill. Definitely prefer the old lantern, but this will do. My favorite recreation by far was this little picnic area. And with most of the town set up, I took to taking the cliffs in to hug where they hugged before. And I'm actually really happy with how they turned out. They are looking so close to what it was, with some exceptions. Mostly being the cliff on the western side did not have enough room. I counted it from my house, and the cliff just west of my house juts out more than most of the cliff, whereas in New Leaf it came in more, so it really just messed things up and cut off like 4 or 5 squares that I would have normally had on that western side. But the only thing that really got lost there were the orange trees along that edge. Oh, and we finally changed the flag over to what it was, a fine, lovely, wonderful Trogdor flag. And I'm glad Isabel likes it. Oh, and here's a funny thing. So this was my 4th character, and I had to sell the socks off his feet to afford a fishing rod. So I could complete Nook Mile goals and get enough Nook Miles to pay off his tent. Now I'm going back to those areas I took in, and as you can see, I put some flowers along the edge like there were in my New Leaf town, but now I'm filling in that grass with sand, since in New Leaf, this was sand. Making the beaches so huge compared to before. Going back to the park, I'm finishing off these planters. I just put a little bit of the dirt pattern down, and then I put the flowers down, and I found this code online. Unfortunately, they don't come right up against the flowers, but I wasn't going to make my own, so I'll accept this person's work for sure. And one of the last big things I have to do is replicate that stone. I found this pattern. I wish the print was bigger, but overall they did a really good job on it. And I'm using it, that was my train station, and over here is the plaza, which took a lot of putting patterns down to fill. But overall, I really like how it turned out. In fact, after I built it, there were quite a few times when checking for a visitor, I would run to the plaza instead of the town hall. Oh, and here's Cookie doing aerobics in the plaza! It reminds me of population growing, and it's so perfect. Oh, I put a ramp up to where Harvey's campsite will be. And here is me working on the pattern for the stalls that'll go around the gong to replicate the big drum thingy in the original one. Bell thingy. There it is. It looks awful, but I tried, right? And here I am doing the train tracks that'll go along the north of the town. These are okay. You'll see as I'm putting them down here in a second how they look. Yeah, it's a thing. It works. But yeah. Alright, finally filling in this cliff. I've teased it for a while, but we're finally finishing it here and now. And bushes going in here, hibiscus. Around the campsite, those were going to be durians, but they're not in game anymore, so I did pears. And here is the clock that was in front of Town Hall being replaced by this clock, along with a bunch of flowers, so close enough. I am finally making the rock zen garden thingamajig. I just put down sand. I could have done the pattern to make the lines, but I didn't feel like it. And there's bamboo stop blocks. Then you just throw in some rocks, and it actually looks pretty good. Pretty close to the original. It's my favorite replica for sure. And finally, I got like the last of the black cosmos I need. And I'm doing the moon to replace that thingy because I don't know. Alright, there it is! An entire speed build of the replica of my New Leaf town. And I will have the dream addresses for both towns in the description so you can check them out at your own leisure and kind of compare them, along with a side-by-side video once the entire town's complete. And remember to subscribe if you want to see this finished up. I'm hoping it'll just be 2 more videos, but honestly, with how many shops I need to make, I should probably split it up. I want it to only be 1 with all the shops, and then 1 remaking all the players' houses, the 4-player houses that were in town. Go ahead and leave a like to let me know if you're excited for the next parts. And thank you so much for watching, and a huge thank you to 66 subscribers. Thank you for everyone who decided they liked my stuff enough to subscribe. I seriously clap every time I get a subscriber with glee, and I do appreciate that people enjoy it enough to subscribe. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that journey, went by pretty fast.